Hi everyone. Happy Tuesday. I hope I'm recording. Anyway, happy Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, June 17th. It's 2 p.m. This is my Tuesday at 2 to go class that is live. So welcome. I am April Davis. I am with April Davis Creations. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and I live in Spring Hill, Kansas. So excited to have you here. I don't know if you can see out my windows. It's really, really dark. It might not look so dark to you guys, but I don't know if you remember 2 weeks ago, we had some bad storms come through, and I'm not aware of any tornado watches or anything like that, but it's getting darker and darker as the afternoon progresses. So anyway, we might see some activity. Hi, Sandra. Thank you for confirming. You just never know. I had some technical difficulties a little bit earlier, so I'm glad I got those all worked out. So welcome, Sandra. Glad you're here. If anybody else is watching, please do say hello. And if you don't catch me live, you can catch me on the replay either here on Facebook and or tomorrow it gets uploaded to YouTube. So today I've got some really fun cards for you that I want to share. But before I forget, I need to let you know that I'm going to be out of town next week. I'm actually traveling with my daughter to Florida for my granddaughter's national dance competition. So I am not doing a to-go class next week just because I'm going to be traveling. So I will miss all of you, but I will be back the next week. So I'll have some postings and things like that, but no to-go class next week. And I didn't want to forget to tell you. Also, I just wanted to share with you, I had a really, really nice weekend. I traveled with my mom and my two brothers, and my brother recently got married, and so his wife was with us, and we traveled to Branson for the weekend. And it was actually a birthday gift for my mother, who had a birthday in April, but for her birthday we got her tickets to David at Sight and Sound. I don't know if you guys have ever been to the Sight and Sound Theater, but this one was in Branson. I think there's one in Pennsylvania as well, but it was incredible. We had an amazing time. And then my sister-in-law surprised us with tickets to the Hay Goods, which I wasn't even familiar with who they were, but it's a family, 5 brothers and a sister. And we went to their show, and it was incredible. And then we had a really nice day at church Sunday morning. It was Father's Day, and so we were celebrating all of the dads, and they had a really nice service at church. So it was a really, really nice weekend. A lot of traveling, though. We drove down on Saturday morning, and we drove home on Sunday. And for me, it's about a 5-hour trip, because we had to stop and pick up my mom, who was 2 hours away, and then we drove to Branson, which was another 3 hours away. So it was a long trip, but we had a great time, and I'm glad to be home, but some really special memories. So if you follow me on Facebook, you might have seen a picture of all of us together. We had a great time. All right, today we are going to work with the Sweet Jar bundle. It is a stamp set, and then you've also got a die, a cookie jar die. So we're going to get into that in just a second. But before we do, I do want to just kind of update you on some things that are going on right now with Stampin' Up. So if I share my screen, let me see if I can do this. I'm going to share my screen, and the first thing I want to do, let me come back to you for just a second. Let me do this. Did you guys happen to see this album? I gotta pull it up. It is a big album. It holds 12 by 12 scrapbooking pages. Anyway, the reason that I'm sharing this album with you, and just to kind of show you what it is, because it's big, 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 we have got, now I can go back to where I was before. We have got a virtual retreat. This is the first one that Stampin' Up has ever done. It's a virtual retreat. And let me see if I can you guys see that? You can't. Hold on a second. This is another technical difficulty. Okay, got it. July 16th through the 18th. It's virtual, so you do it at home. But basically what they're doing is they are creating 12 2-page spreads. So it's for the entire year. So you've got a January 2-page spread, a February 2-page spread, so on and so forth. And they're going to have it on a special Facebook group. So when you register or you buy your kit, you will then get access to the Facebook group, and they're going to do each of the spreads, and you can go in anytime you want. I'm actually going to be doing this, and anybody who is local is welcome to join me here at my home. But the reason I showed you the notebook, or the big notebook, is because if you register through me, you go out on your on the Stampin' Up store and you designate me as your demonstrator, I will send you this big notebook as a special gift from me. And it's a very, very nice notebook. But that way it will hold all of your 12 2-page spreads. And it is a bit pricey. I will be honest with you about that. But you're getting everything you need. You're getting 2 stamp sets. You're getting each kit, and they've actually cut all the paper for you. I was shocked when I got my kit. You're going to get some ribbon. You're going to get some embellishments. There's lots and lots of stuff on it. So if you go to my website, and I'm going to switch over here. If you go to my website and you click on the blog, which is the month-to-month virtual album retreat, and you just click on this, read more, it shows you all of the things that are going to be in your kit. I talk about the free album that I'm going to share with you, but then there's also the 2-page spreads that you're going to be able to go back and look at. So you'll find all of this on my blog, and then also any additional supplies. And the additional supplies are like your bone folders, your blocks for stamping, some of your stamp pads, masking tape or ruler, scratch paper, so on and so forth. So they give you everything you need so you're prepared to do this virtual retreat. And it's a 3-day virtual retreat, but again, you can do it in your own time. All right, let me come back up here. And I'm going to also remind you that we have or Stampin' Up, I should say, has a buy one, get one at 50% off sale. This sale is incredible. And the way that you're going to be able to take the best advantage of this, because it's for all suites and any products that are within the suites. So they're online suites, catalog suites, any of our suites, you can go in and buy one, get one at 50% off. Your best value is to buy a suite and get a suite at 50% off, or buy a bundle within the suite and get it at 50% off. If you buy a pack of paper that's in the suite, you're going to get a pack, and you have 2 packs of paper, they're going to give you the lowest cost priced item at 50% off. So, example, you buy a suite, and the suite is, I'm just going to say $50 because it includes everything, right? And then you put paper in there. They're going to give you the paper at 50% off, which is like $12.50, so you're going to get it for $6.50. Why would you do that when you can get 2 suites, one at $50 and the other one at $25? So I'm just making numbers up, but if you want to take advantage of this 50% off sale, you may have to place several orders in order to get what you need at the highest value. So that's still going on through the end of the month. The other thing that I wanted to share with you is that the July Paper Pumpkin registration is open through July the 10th, and we get sneak peeks, and I'm guessing that July is going to have something to do with strawberries, and I do love strawberries, so I'm excited about this Paper Pumpkin. But the other thing that I want to remind you is that I have partnered with 3 other demonstrators, very, very skilled, creative demonstrators, and we put together every month an alternative tutorial for Paper Pumpkin. So we'll take the Paper Pumpkin and we will create 12 alternative cards. And if you are a Paper Pumpkin subscriber through me, you get that absolutely free. If you are a demonstrator and you're interested in the tutorial, I do have the tutorial for sale on my PDF, in my PDF store on my website. So just to kind of remind you of that. But for July, you've got through July 10th that you can get in on the July Paper Pumpkin. All right, one last thing. I want to come back to my website and just remind you that today is a to-go class. It's a free class. Let me see, I need to click on this. It's a free class, but if you want the kit for free, all the cardstock and the designer series paper and everything that I use, you want the kit for free, you can get that by placing an order on my online store. And this, if you go to my website, it explains to you everything that you need to do in order to get your kit for free. Plus, you also get a written tutorial. Also, we've got the Create Happiness Club registration for the Create Happiness Club is open through the end of the month. This is for July. This is a bi-monthly club, so you get it every other month. So this one is for July, and these are cards that are a little bit of the and then some, meaning they're kind of a step up. They're not necessarily really simple cards, but you get a tutorial. You also get a video that shows you how to create the cards. So registration is open through the 30th of this month. And then one last one we've got, this is the Crafting Happiness, and Crafting Happiness is a monthly subscription club. This club registration is open through the 20th of this month. So we only have a couple more days, and then the July Crafting Happiness kit will be available. So anyway, wanted to share all of that with you, and then also remind you that in my shop, we have PDF tutorials, we have retired product. So if you're interested in any retired product or PDFs, you can go out to my store as well. All right, I'm gonna come back. Let me see, I'm gonna take myself down, and I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna show you my desktop. And we are actually going to look at the cards that we're making today. So as I mentioned before, we're using the Sweet Jar stamp set and the Sweet Jar punch builder. And just a sneak peek in the new online product that's going to be released next month. There is a supplement to the Sweet Jar. Just saying. It might have to do with the holidays, just saying. But right now, today, we're going to focus on just the Sweet Jar, and we're going to work on some cookies. So let me show you the cards that we're going to be creating today. A couple cards with cookies. So here's card number 1. Isn't that so pretty, with a little cookie jar and chocolate chip cookies in it? And then I got this idea, and I have to look at the back of my card to see, but Linda Heller decided to use the jar as a pot for plants, and I just loved that. So we are going to use the punch to make a pot, and we're going to have some plants in that. And then I went back to the cookie jar again, and I'm going to show you how we created this card. So let's go ahead and get started with our first cookie jar. I'm going to bring that kit out. That's not the right kit. We've got this kit, and we're going to be using our, I want to say Stormy Sea. I don't know why I want to say that. This is Secret Sea. And then I've got a piece of basic white for one of our layers. And then I've got some designer series paper, and I have to share with you this designer series paper. If you guys don't have this yet, this is gorgeous designer series paper. This is the 6x6. It's the Neutrals DSP. You know, our neutrals come in the brights, our DSP come in the brights, they come in the subtles, they come in the regals. This is the neutral. And I just wanted to share with you how pretty this paper is. All the neutral colors. But I can see myself using this over and over again, and you'll see that I did use it for this particular to-go class. But how pretty are these? The fronts with the flowers, the backs with the stripes and the speckles. Anyway, just love this. So I wanted to share that with you. And it comes in a 6x6 pack, and you get lots of paper. All right, so we've got our neutral, and then I have a circle that was cut from my stylish shape dies. I'm not sure my stylish shape dies made it over here, but I show them to you almost every single to-go class. And then I've got another one that I did that I ran it through the corrugated embossing folder. So we've got that. Then I've just got a little piece of scrap for my lid. I've got a scrap for my cookie jar. And then I decided I wanted to do something just a little bit different. So this one uses the plain white, basic white cardstock as its layer. I thought that since I used the corrugated on the circle, what I might want to do with the card that I'm creating now is use the corrugated as the back. So I like to kind of shake things up just a little bit with my cards. So we're going to create this card, but instead of using just the plain basic white, we are going to use the corrugated for our layer. So let's go ahead. The first thing we need to do is we need to get our stamping done. And with this particular one, I am stamping the lid on some balmy blue paper. So I've got another technique that I'm going to show you on one of the other cards. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull my lid out. And I'm going to pull my jar out. And I am going to stamp both of these in Secret C. So let me do that. These are photopolymer stamps. So let me get my silicone mat out. So I've got a little bit of a squish when I stamp. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp my jar first. And I'm looking, when we look at the punch, I want to pay attention to where I want to stamp on my paper. If I stamp, I probably want to stamp down at the end down here. So I've got a little bit of room up here. If I stamp too far up, then I'm not going to be able to get my paper in far enough to get my stamp in. And I'll show you what I mean here in just a second. But I am going to pull out my Post-it notes because I feel like once I put this paper in, I'm not going to have any control over the top, and I'll show you how you can have some additional control. So I want to stamp my jar down at the bottom of my paper. So I'm just going to tap, tap, tap. Make sure I get a good coating on this. And then we'll go ahead and get this stamped out. Good connection. There we go. I'm going to set this off to the side. We're going to do a quick swish on my Simply Chamois to get this cleaned up. And then while we've got the ink out, I'm going to bring in my scrap and we're going to stamp the lid. So I've got the lid here. Make sure I get a coating of ink on it. And then I'll just go ahead and stamp this down. Here we go. Close this up. My goal today is to not get any ink on me, although I probably just jinked myself. Okay, so now let's go ahead and we're going to bring in our punch, and we'll go ahead and punch the lid first. And basically, I'm just going to line it up in here. And what you can do is you can line it up, and then if you put just a little bit of pressure on it, it will kind of hold it in place without punching just yet. So you can give it a good look and make sure that you're happy with where it's at. Once you've got that, go ahead and give it a punch. And I'll put the scraps over here, and here is our lid. So I'll set it off to the side. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna punch our cookie jar. And as you can see, I don't really have a lot of control over my paper to get it lined up appropriately. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a piece of my Post-it note, gives me a little bit more that I can hold on to. And then what I can do is I can get this lined up the way I want to get it lined up. And once I have it where I want it, let me see, I'm looking at it. Probably right about there. I'm going to turn it, pop it. I have another lid, but I don't need my lid, but now I've got my jar. Okay. All right, so we've got that. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is we're going to start stamping our cookies in the cookie jar. So I've got 3 colors that we're going to use. We're going to use Crumb Cake, we're going to use Pecan Pie, and we are going to use Early Espresso for our chocolate chips. So I'm going to start with the lighter layer, which is going to be done in Crumb Cake. So let me go ahead and pull that out. And this is the stamp. It's a wide open stamp. It's just the background. So we'll go ahead and we'll get this inked up. I'm looking through my stamp just to make, or my block, to make sure I've got my stamp covered. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna line this up, And you're going to stamp inside those lines. I'll show you what I mean here in just a second. So I'm inside the inside lines. All right, let me clean this off real quick. And it's okay, it looks a little speckly to me, not sure why, but not a problem because we're gonna be stamping over all of that. So the next thing we wanna do is we wanna bring our cookies in. And these are our cookies, and you can see they're a little bit more detailed. Maybe you can see they're a little bit more detailed. And we're gonna stamp those in pecan pie. So let me do this. And we'll get this inked up, and I wanna make sure I get good coverage of my cookies. Okay, we've got that out of the way. And now what I want to do is I want to line this up with the previous part that I stamped. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, there we go. We've got the start to our cookies. How fun is that? Clean this one off. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to put our chocolate chips on the cookies. So I'm going to bring out the early espresso, and we have a stamp that is like chocolate chips. See if you can see without glare from the light. All right, so let me get these done up. And then again, I'm just going to basically line these up the best I can. And let's see. I'm just going for it. There we go. Now we have, and I'll lift this up so you guys can see because I know it's a little hard to see. Can you see the chocolate chips on the cookies? All right, so let's go ahead and clean this off. And then the next thing I want to do is I just want to adhere the lid to my jar. So I'm going to take a little bit of my glue. And I'm just going to put like a little dollop, not a dollop, but a line of glue right along here. It doesn't take much. And then I can take and I can adhere my lid to my jar. And then we're going to adhere the jar to the card using dimensionals. So I want to make sure that my lid's on. So we'll let that dry for just a second. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in the rest of the card, and I'm going to grab my bone folder, and we'll go ahead and burnish this down. Okay, and then remember I'm going to use, where is it? Where is it? Oh, it's right here. Sorry. I'm going to use the corrugated layer, and we're going to put it down. So let's go ahead and get some down. Oh, I don't want to put this down yet. What I want to do is, oh, you know what, let me see. Nope. All right. Another good thing that you can do with your your silicone mat is things don't stick to it. The glue will transfer to it, but I could pull this up when I'm done. And because I've already got glue on the back of this, I don't want to get glue anywhere else. But what I need to do, because I want to add some ribbon, I'm going to go ahead and add my designer series paper first. So we're going to do that. And this way I'm not getting my fingers in all of that glue. I will probably eventually, but for now I'm not. So I'm going to go ahead and get this down. And I actually cut it the same size as I cut the previous one, but because it's corrugated, it shrunk just a little bit, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my snips, and I'm just going to snip off this little top right here so that it's level or even with the paper. All right, so we've got that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in some of this ribbon. This is just a white woven ribbon. And I'm going to bring this in, and let's see, I want about this much to start. And I'm going to bring in my ribbon snips. My ribbon snips have a ribbon on it. The cookies do look realistic. Yes, don't make these cards when you're hungry. You might have to go find some chocolate chip cookies. When you cut with your regular snips, you cut paper with your regular snips, paper dulls your your snips. You can still use them for paper, but they're not good for cutting ribbon. So I have a second pair of snips that I always keep on hand. I put a ribbon on it to remind me these are my ribbon snips. And that way my ribbon cuts so much easier. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to move this out of the way for just a second, and I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to adhere down this ribbon. So I'm gonna put a little, well actually there's some glue here, so I can use the glue on that end. And then I'm gonna put some of my Stampin' Seal on the other side, and I'm just gonna cover up that seam. So we've got the seam covered up. I'm going to turn that over. So now we've got our ribbon on there. And I'm going to bring this back in, and now we're going to put this down. So let me go ahead and finish putting glue on the back here. I was so excited, I just jumped the gun. All right, so I've got glue here. Let me move this out of the way. And I'm going to bring my card in, and we'll get this lined up. And because I'm using glue, I can do a little bit of adjusting, scooch this around so that it's fairly even the way I want it to be. Okay, now we've got that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to actually glue this circle on top of the secret C circle. So we'll get that done. And again, if I don't get it lined up exactly, I can scooch it around a little bit just to make sure I get it. Oh, did you guys hear that thunder? It's not raining yet, but it's talking to us. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to glue this down on top of the ribbon. And I could use dimensionals, but I'm going to use dimensionals on my pot, so I don't know that I necessarily want to have 2 rows of dimensionals, but we can do it. Let's do it. Let's just do it. All right, let me see, where are my tweezers? I need my tweezers for my dimensionals. So let's go ahead and we'll get this down. There was a little bit of dimension with the ribbon anyway, so this will, let me see, I think what I want to do, did I do that right? What I'm trying to decide is if I put my dimensionals in the wrong place. I really didn't. I just needed to get them over just a little bit, but I think we're fine. So I'm going to go ahead and get this down. I just didn't want to put my dimensional on top of the ribbons, what I'm really trying to say. Not that it would hurt anything, but, and really what I want to do is I want to center. I do have my do not disturb on, but apparently it didn't work. All right, so now we've got that down. And now what we can do is we can take our, where's my, I just realized I've got my sentiment to do too. So let's go ahead and we're gonna get our pot down. And then I think if my sentiment's not out on the tray here, it must still be in the envelope maybe. But we'll get that in a second. So let's go ahead and get our pot down. Our cookie jar down. And we'll go ahead and we're gonna put it off to the left just a little bit here because I am gonna put a sentiment on. So let's go this way, I think. Am I too high? I might need to bring that down just a tad. Okay, we've got that. Let me look. Is my sentiment? Yes, my sentiment is here. Look at this little bitty banner. This is also cut from the Stylish Shapes. And we are going to stamp. I'm going to bring this in and I'm going to try to avoid the glue. We're going to stamp, let me see, what do we want to stamp? A little treat for you. How fun will that be? All right, so let's bring in our secrecy again. Get that inked up, and then get this so that you guys can see, but I need to see too. And let's see, let's do a little treat for you right here. Got it. Okay. Excuse me. I have picked up a little bit of a cold. It started last week. It's not bad, but it just makes me cough when I talk a lot. All right, now what we're gonna do is on this edge, because it's gonna go like this, this is already popped up. Let me move this out of the way. This, oops, did I get ink on that? Where did that ink come from? Hold on, guys. I'm gonna try to clean this up a little bit. I think maybe, I don't know where it came from, but I'm using my mono sand eraser, and we may do something to help get rid of that little splotch. All right, anyway, back to this. This is already popped up, so I don't want to pop up this edge. I'm only going to pop up this edge. So I'm going to take one of my dimensionals, and I'm going to set it right here. And then what I can do is I can take a little bit of glue on this edge, just a tiny bit, doesn't need a lot. And then we'll turn this over, and now what we can do is we can add our sentiment, and I'm going to put it right about here, I think. Is that straight? That looks good. Okay, almost done. We've got two things that we need to do. We're going to tie a bow, and I'm going to, last time I put it at the top, this time I'm going to put it at the bottom, just so that this card will be a little bit different. So I'm pulling out enough ribbon that I can get my bow tied. I'm going to go a little bit more. Ribbon snips. Move this over. I'm going to tuck it in right underneath here. So I'm going to pull this through. Whoops. Pull it out. Okay. Pull this through, and then I'm just going to tie my bow this way. You could have one long piece of ribbon and do everything with just the one ribbon. I like the idea of tucking it behind with the seal and then tying my bow on it, just because well, number one, it's easier, but secondly, it doesn't waste as much of the ribbon. There's no sense in having ribbon in the back if you don't need it. Nobody's going to see it anyway. So let me get that pulled tight. I'm going to get it adjusted, and then we'll trim up the ends a little bit, and we'll call that bow good. So let me do this and do this. And then I've got some, is that even? Yeah. And then I've got some embellishments here. We're going to use the neutral matte dots. And so I'm going to pull these out. And since I've got, let me see, where's my take your pick? Did I bring it out? I think I didn't get back over here. All right, I'm going to take one of these. Let's see if I can do this. I'm going to take one of these, and I'm going to place it right here to hide that little spot. And then I'm going to take the other one, I'm going to put it up here. And then I'm going to take a smaller one, and I'm going to put it down here. Okay, so now I've got my embellishments on, and we have card number 1 complete. How fun was that? Yummy cookies, a little treat for you. Okay, let's move on to card number 2. So move these out of the way. Where is card number 2? Let's do the pot. Okay, so that kit includes, we're going to do Misty Moonlight for our card base. We have crumb cake that we used the wood, I thought I had that over here. We had the wood 3D embossing folder. It's right here. Yes, it's the birchwood. There we go. The birchwood 3D embossing folder. So I went ahead and embossed that. And then we've got a piece of basic white, and that basic white was cut with these textured note dies. I think I showed these guys to you last week. I love, the stamps are great. The stamps are fine, but I love the dies that come with the stamps even more. There's so many rectangles, and they all have different textures to them. So that's how that one was cut. Okay, then I've got some designer series paper that we're going to create our pot from. I have a piece of scrap paper for our sentiment. I've got another piece of scrap paper for the base that our pot's going to sit on. And then I have some greenery. And this greenery I went ahead and pre-cut out of Old Olive, and I used the painted lavender dies on that. So I created that with these dies. So I don't always stick with the same stamp set. A lot of times I combine several different stamp sets depending upon the look that I'm looking for. So let's go ahead, and the first thing that I want to do is let's get our pot punched. So I can bring back out our sweet jar builder. I've just got a strip here, so I can go ahead and get this in, and let's see what's happening. I want to get it down lower. There we go. It just was having a moment. Okay, this looks good. So I'm gonna go ahead and punch that. So now we've got our pot. How fun was that? And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my silicone mat again, just to adhere the greenery to behind the pot, and then we'll let that dry while we work on creating the rest of the card. So I'm just going to use some of my Stampin' Seal to start, and if I can get it to lay down, please. Get it twisted there. There's a little bit. I don't know why it's getting, there we go. I'm just going to get a little bit down here. And basically what I'm going to do then is I'm going to just start layering my greenery down here. So I need to make sure I don't go too tall, but we've got some here. So I'm going to lay that here. And then it is sticky back there. And then I will do this one. And we're going to put it over on this side. And then I'll take this last one and I'm going to pop it up, just to, not pop it up, but it's going to be a little bit taller than the other ones. So I'll get that there. Now what I can do is I can place this down on this mat, and we'll just let this sit while we work to build the rest of the card. So we've got our Misty Moonlight. So let's go ahead and get this burnished, and then we'll put down our first layer. Bit of glue off to the side that I don't want there. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this down. So my granddaughter is turning 8 in July. She's the dancer in the family, and she's been doing competition dance for a number of years. And this year, last year Nationals was in Kansas City, which was really convenient. But this year it's in Florida. So her mom, and I are headed to Florida for a week for her dance national competition. And we'll have plenty of time to have some fun as well, because she won't be performing the entire time she's there. There's some special workshops that she'll be taking as well. But for the most part, she will, perform, and then she'll have time, and then she'll perform, and then she'll have time. So we're going to have some fun beach time as well, I believe. What I'm going to do is I've already got the seal on the back here, but I want my leaves not to lay down completely, because I do like a little bit of movement with my card, but I do want them to be able to not be too floppy. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking my glue and I'm just putting like little dots of glue, not everywhere, but enough that it kind of grabs the leaves so that I don't have to really worry about them too much. And you can see I have not put hardly any down, but I did enough that it will hold, they'll stay down. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and add my pot. But what I wanted to share is that my daughter is expecting their 4th baby, and she is due in August. So I'm going to be helping her out quite a bit, just because, she's pretty pregnant. She's due in August. She was at the doctor yesterday. The doctor said it was okay for her to travel. One of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to put some linen thread behind my pot, but because I did not do that, we are just going to add the linen thread as a bow to the front. But I'll show you on this one, I took it behind the pot so it's looked like it's wrapped around the pot. All right, let's go ahead. We're gonna pop this one up and we'll get it centered on the card, and then we'll work with the rest of that. We still have a sentiment to do as well. I'm gonna go ahead and put my dimensionals like this. And then I don't have my take your pick. I didn't bring it over again. So we're just using our fingers. But I like my take your pick better. And then because I want to get this centered, I need a little bit of flexibility. So I'm going to put glue on the back of these. Not because I need more stick, I don't. I need more flexibility to move things around. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to line it up as best I can. See if we can hit the mark right out of the gate. Maybe, oop. Let me look at it. I think that's good. Okay, we've got that. I'm just gonna lay this on the top for just a second. And what we need to do now is we need to work on our sentiment. So I'm keeping the sentiment really, really simple. It's little bitty, and we're gonna do Miss You bunches. And I'm gonna put this down here. I'm gonna pick a square area. Square, that looks pretty square. We're gonna stamp it in Secret C again, just because I don't see, I actually do, I don't have my Misty, no, I don't have my Misty Moonlight here. So we're gonna stamp it in Secret C, which is fine. So I'm gonna do it right here in this corner because we are going to cut this out. It's just gonna be a little sliver of a sentiment. So I'm gonna go right here. What is the brown DSP from, please? Is that the neutral? No, that's Crumb Cake. Good question. The brown DSP. Oh, DSP, brown DSP. Oh, this brown DSP. Yes, this brown DSP is also from the neutrals. So, in fact, I'm utilizing all of the neutrals for this particular class. So good question, thank you. All right, I'm looking for my snips, and I'm gonna snip this off here. And then I'm gonna do my very, very best to be able to snip a straight line across as best I can. Good enough, and that's gonna be my sentiment. All right, so let me get this picked up. And the sentiment is going to go on, and I think what I did on the other one, I'm not going to do it on this one because I cut off too much, but you can angle the edges. I angled the edges on this one. We're not going to angle the edges on this one. And I'm looking for my dimensionals, and basically I just want a little sliver of a dimensional. So I'm going to do this so it will fit right. Let me see, do I have the right end? Okay, I do. So I'm gonna go ahead and put one here, and I didn't pop the other one up, so you can see there's lots of different ways that you can do this, and this is just how I'm doing this one this time. And I guess I'll put one in the middle just to be on the safe side. So I'm gonna pop my sentiment up this time. So we'll take these off. And then I'm going to put this right about, I'm gonna make it even with the end of the the white. So I'm gonna bring it over this way so it's even here. And then I want it to be straight. So there we go, we've got my 2 bunches. And then the last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna, oh, I've gotta put my bow on. So I do have some linen thread here. I do. Honestly, this place is not very big. It never ceases to amaze me how I'm able to lose things in such a small space. And oh, here it is. I specifically remember bringing it over. All right, so let's go ahead and take this linen thread and we're gonna tie ourselves a bow. And I'm actually gonna do a double bow just to give it a little bit of thickness. So we'll go ahead and do our bow. I'm gonna shape it up. Okay, looking good. So I want to use my ribbon snips. So we'll snip this off here. And then this one is the other end. So got our bow. And I'm going to take my glue dots and I'm just going to use my tweezers since I don't have my take a pick. And I'm going to put my glue dot right here on the center, and then I'm going to take my bow that was right here and we'll put this down. There we go. So now we've got our bow on our pot. That looks good. And then I have some additional dimension or bling that I'm going to use. These are the Pecan Pie and Clear ribbon adhesive back dots. You can use whatever's in your stash. I just thought this one would work really well for this. So I am going to I'm going to use the Pecan Pie one since I used a brown in this, and I'm used to using my take your pick. I'll put this one over here, I think. Let's see. And then I'm going to do another one, smaller one, over here. I think I'm going to move that one. I kind of like to do it from an angle perspective, but they look too straight to me. So I'm going to move this one up and over a little bit, if I can get a hold of it. Help me out. There we go. Okay, I'm going to move you over here. All right, there we go. I'm a little bit happy with that. All right, there we have card number 2, and this was the cookie jar, but we just created a pot instead. How fun is that? Hey, Mom, so glad to see you. Glad you were able to join us. All right, moving on to card number 3 now. Let's see, it's right here. Let me clean up my mess a little bit. Okay, and this is going to be card number 3. This is our happy birthday card kit. Here we go. All right, so we are going to use Pecan Pie cardstock. We're using early Espresso cardstock as a layer. This is basic beige, and the basic beige I embossed with the swirly embossing folder. You know how I like to emboss my backgrounds. Then I have 3 circles that were cut out of the Neutrals Designer Series paper, and I used 3 different punches, obviously. I used a 2 3/8" punch. I used a 2-inch punch, and then I also used a 1/2-inch punch. So these 3 punches are going to give us this little swirly look that you see right here, which means that we need to be able to cut these circles in half. I'm going to grab my trimmer here in just a second. And then I also used the Stylish Shapes dies. This is the banner from the Stylish Shapes. I stamped it in Versamark and embossed it with white embossing powder. So I went ahead and did that ahead of time. So let me grab my trimmer here real quick. You could do it by hand if you chose to, but I'm going to kind of show you how I like to do this. All right, so I'm going to bring my trimmer in, get some space here, and I'm just going to center. And so when I say center, it's like I don't have to know where the center is. I'm looking at, this was 1 inch, and here's 1 inch here and 1 inch here. So I'm literally putting my circle between the 1 inch marks. So I've got the circle between my 1 inch marks. Then I can put it down and I'm just gonna trim it in half. And it cuts it in half perfectly for me. All right, so let's do the next one. This one is going to center, let me see, 1 1/4 and 1 1/4. Between the two, 1 1/4. So I've got a little bit of a gap on each side. So I'm just doing it by sight, but it's centered. Okay, so now that I've got that, I can put this down and I'm gonna trim it in half. And now I've got this in half. And then this last one looks like it's gonna center between, let's see, it looks like the 3/4 mark. In fact, it's right on the line on each side for the 3/4 mark. So I know I'm not gonna be able to grab that. So I'm gonna lift this up, my hand up, and maybe, hopefully it won't move. So we've got that. I'll put this down. Everything's good. Then I can go ahead and I've got that cut. All right, so now we've got those cut. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a little swirl that we've got and we're gonna start building this out. So we've got, let's see how we're doing this. We've got this, swirl here. And I'm gonna put a swirl here. And what I'm trying to do is I just wanna space it out appropriately. So I'm looking at, I want the same on each side, or maybe I can, actually you could probably keep this one whole if you wanted to. In fact, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna keep that one whole. So the big one you don't even cut in half. You just keep it whole. So we're gonna go ahead and get this one down. So I'll get this one down. Okay, getting it centered. We'll get this one down. Okay. All right, so we've got that one down. Now we'll take the next one and we're gonna line it up on the lines. So we have the lines now since we had cut that, and we're just gonna go edge to edge, right? So let's go ahead and we'll get this one down. So I'm going right on top of that line where I'd cut it in half. We'll get this one down. And I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna line it up on that line, butt it up to the other one, right at the very edge of that circle. So we've got that, okay? And then we've got our last one. We're gonna do the exact same thing. We're gonna line this up. And we're going to line this one up. My do not disturb isn't working for some reason. Okay, so now we've got that. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the happy birthday and we're going to center the happy birthday. We're gonna pop it up, but we're gonna center it over the top. And that makes for that swirl effect. Isn't that pretty? All right, so let me grab my dimensionals. They're right here. Oh, get that. So we've got this part done, and then we'll start to work on our cookie jar again. After I'm gonna get these layered down though, just so we can get most of the card built. All right, so now we're gonna take our happy birthday and center that over our, I'm gonna pick it up just so that I can look, just make sure I'm not getting it too high. So pretty. Okay, so now we've got that. So let's go ahead and layer this down on top of our early espresso layer. Get this centered up. Gotta go this way a little bit. Okay. All right, and then our pecan pie. Get it down. Let me get this layer down. Scooching just a little bit. Okay, there we go. So we'll let that dry, and I'm gonna bring out, did I have, well, I've got some extra cardstock here, I believe. I thought I had a piece for, and I wanna show you this too. I thought I had a piece of, is this it? This must be it. Okay, all right, we are going to create our cookie jar. But what I want to show you with this is, you know, you've got your punch that's like this. And what would be fun is if you could, since I'm going to be punching these out, I'm looking at this just a second. What you would want to do is be able to punch them out together, although it looks, I think we're going to be fine. All right, so what I did, I took a piece of scrap paper and I went ahead and punched it out, right? Then what you can do is you can take your stamp. So here's my lid, and I'm going to take my stamp and I'm going to fit it inside where this punch is. Okay, so I've got that. Then I'm going to take my jar and I'm going to fit my jar inside where this is. You guys will see where I'm going here in just a second. So I've got my jar in there. I've got my lid. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my block and I'm going to pick it up like this. So now when I get ready to stamp on this, we should be able to punch it out very easily, all in one fell swoop, if you will. So I'm going to turn this out. Well, let's see. I do have glue on this. I wanted to show you how easy it is to get this glue off. So because of what I did earlier, I got glue on my mat. It cleans off very easily. You just have to rub it. But it's very sticky if I were to put my paper down. So I'm just gonna move this off to the side, get it off my mat. Now I can put this down and I'm gonna stamp. And I'm gonna use Early Espresso. So here's my Early Espresso ink. Move stuff out of the way so you guys can see. Move this up, and then I'm just going to make sure I get this coated completely. Okay, got that. Close that up, and then I'm going to stamp down at the end. Actually, I'm going to do kind of along the edge. That way I'm not wasting too much paper. So we've got this. I'm going to make sure I get good connection. And now we've got our jar, right? Okay, let me clean this up real quick. And while my jar is still like this, there's a little bit of glue. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna stamp my cookies too. It's just easier to stamp on one big piece of paper than it is to try to stamp on a little piece. So let's go ahead and we're gonna do the same way we did before. I'm gonna use the crumb cake. Yes, Diana. You'll get to, you can see the rest of it, you know, when you watch the replay, but I'm glad you joined us. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're gonna get the base of the cookie jar down. This is our bottom layer. So we'll go ahead and get that stamped. So we've got that. And then we will do the Early Espresso. I'm gonna clean off my stamp real quick. Early Espresso. Where's my cookies? Here's my cookies. Oh, early espresso for the chocolate chips. We are going to use pecan pie for the actual cookie. Looking through, making sure I get good coverage of my cookies. Now I'm going to get these lined up. Sorry if I'm getting my head in the way, guys. I think that's where I want it, right here. Okay. So now we've got our cookies, and I'll clean this off real quick. And then we'll do our chocolate chips, and our cookies will be done. Okay, here's our early espresso for our chocolate chips. This is our chocolate chip stamp. And then we'll come over here, do the exact same thing, get it lined up as best you can. Just kind of looking through. I really like the photopolymer stamps because that way I can kind of look through the stamp and the block and see where I'm stamping. Okay, fun. Here we go, guys. Let me pick this up for you. Don't those look yummy? Oh, okay. Now we can go ahead and punch this out. So let me move these things out of the way. And punch back in. And because we used the template that I showed you, which I don't know where it's at now. Here it is. Because we used this template, I was able to stamp things so that now when I put this in here, it should punch it out exactly where I needed to punch it out. See how it lines up? Okay, we've got that. I can use those scraps for later. And here we go. I've got my cookie jar and my lid. So I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did last time. I'm going to go ahead and glue my lid to my cookie jar. So let me go ahead and do just a little sliver of glue across the top, because I'm going to actually pop this up on my card. And then we'll put the cookie jar lid on like so. And I'm just going to put that over the top just to hold it for just a second. And then while we're doing that, I actually am going to tie a bow on here. And I'm going to do a single layered bow this time around. But let's go ahead and get our bow tied. And get it adjusted the way I want it. I'm pulling on it because it's been on a bolt. It's it wants to curl on me, and I want to straighten it out as best I can. All right, let's see. We'll go with that, and then I'm going to use my snips. We'll cut this off, and I'll trim it up here in just a second. But what we'll do now is we will take this, and I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back. So let me get these. Okay. Let's see, it looks like my hand, it might have moved just a tiny bit, but that's okay. There we go, we got it. All right, let me take the dimensionals off. And I'm gonna center my cookie jar right about here. Yep. And then we'll take a little glue dot. See, where's my glue? A little glue dot. So I'll use my tweezers to help me since I don't have my take your pick. So I'm just gonna put it right here in the center of my jar. And then we'll take our bow and we're gonna put that right over the top. And then I'm going to trim this side up as well. But I'm going to leave them long. I kind of like them being long. So we're going to have that. And then I am going to bring in those ribbons, pecan pie ribbon dots back in. I think these are so pretty. And I'm going to put a couple of these on. So let me see if I can get these up. I missed my take your pick. Sorry guys, excuse me that I didn't have that with me today. It hasn't found its way back to my recording area. And then we're gonna do that. And then we'll take another one and we're gonna put it right down here. Whoops. I think I'm going to put it right down here. Turn you over right there. Okay. There you go. Now we have card number 3 done. Isn't that pretty? I love the little swirl now that you guys know how to do it. For those of us who keep old stamp bundles, this would make an adorable gift set with the coffee card bundle. It really would, Diana. Coffee and cookies. Yay. All right, let me bring these in. I'm not quite done yet. But here's card number 3 that we just did. And then remember the second card we did, we actually used the cookie jar as a pot and had greenery coming out of that. And then we have a little treat for you. I did this a little bit differently in the sense of this one had a plain background with a variegated or a corrugated circle. Put the bow at the top. This one I did a corrugated background and then put the bow at the bottom. So change things up just a little bit. But aren't those pretty cards? So cute, so fun. All right. What I want to do is I want to come back up and talk to you guys because one of the things that I didn't do at the top of the hour that I want to do now is just say thank you to everybody who makes a comment, who shares, who subscribes, who likes my posts and so, or my videos. And so let me move this stuff out of the way. I've got, last week I had 2 winners that I haven't heard from yet. Gayla Odell was a winner and she won the designer series paper and some of the adhesive backed hearts and flowers embellishments. So Gayla, I'm waiting to hear from you. I know you, but I don't have your contact information. And then the other person that won, the name that I've got is Peaceful Dreaming My Way. I don't know the name. It's just Peaceful Dreaming My Way was the comment. So I've also got some designer series paper and some black dots. How do I do this? For you as well. So anyway, please reach out to me at aprildaviscreations@gmail.com. There we go, at gmail.com, and I will get these in the mail to you. Now, we have 2 winners for today, from, that commented last week. So I have Hilda Massey 4665. Hilda, I've got some fresh freesia ribbon and some starburst sequins for you. And then I also have the same for, it's Jean Barraclaw, Clough, 9396. Jean, I've got some ribbon and some embellishments for you as well. So please do reach out to me at aprildaviscreations@gmail.com and I will get these in the mail to you. Guys, I appreciate you so much. I appreciate the fact that you are commenting, you're joining me. I had to change my time several months ago, and it's just taken a while for everybody to catch on that I've changed my time. So I love seeing you and your comments. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for liking. And if you haven't subscribed either to my Facebook page and or to my YouTube channel, I invite you to do that as well. Remember, next week I am not doing a to-go class. I will be in Florida with my daughter and my granddaughter, and but I do promise to post pictures. So while I'm not with you, I will share pictures both of our beach time and of my granddaughter dancing, so you can see her. She's a cutie patootie, and so sweet. She'll be 8 next month. I can't hardly believe it. I remember when she was born. Anyway, thank you for joining me today, and I will see you guys next week. Take care. Bye, everyone. Not next week. Bye, everyone.